सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Om. We'll continue our journey of Prashna Upanishad. Last time I had some doubt about the metaphors used in one of the verses. I was thinking, and could be the interpretation be like that? Let's look at it again. So the verse is 11th verse of the first adhyaya. Panchapadam pitaram dvadashakrutim diva ahuhu pare ardhe purishinam athe me anya u pare vichakshanam sapta chakre shadar ahurar pitamiti. The translation is, some say he is the Pitru, ancestor, with 5 feet and 12 arms, extending over the upper half of heaven. Others say he is the supreme, seated on a chariot of 7 wheels and 6 spokes. So 5 different limbs, meaning 5 Panchabhuta, the Panchabhuta or Panchmahabhuta, that we can definitely say that Brahma or that Prana pervades everything in this world, and the beginning is the physical level, which is 5 Mahabhuta, Panchamahabhuta, and it is of 12 forms. So 12 forms can definitely be 12 masas, samvatsara, because Prajapati is samvatsara. So 12 months are 12 different masas or months, we can say. The 7 chakras. So 7 chakras, we know that sunlight is made up of 7 different colors. In our body there are 7 different seats or 7 different chakras in the Kundalini system. There are more than 108, 112 total, but 7 are more important. So 7 chakras, they can be said as 7 wheels or a chariot, that is our body, and it has 7 wheels like that, and 6 spokes. So many a times it is said that this Atma is such that it has center in billions of things, but it does not have any perimeter. So if there is no perimeter, the spokes can extend up to infinity. That means these 6 spokes can be 6 directions. Many a times we see that the directions are numbered as 10 or sometimes numbered as 6. So 4 major directions: east, west, north, south, and upper and below. So such 6 directions. Sometimes it is 10, because 6 plus 4 minor directions like Ishana, Agni, Nairitya, Vayavya. So we can say that these are 6 directions that are mentioned here. So whatever is within this body and which extends up to infinity is what the notion here is. Because Atma, even though it resides or it is confined in this body, which is a chariot, but its effect, even though we do not realize, even though we do not experience it, unless we do a lot of tapa and have a lot of sadhana, we cannot experience how it extends to infinity. But the Rishis definitely have experienced that, and many great sages, they also experience and they talk about that. So these 6 spokes can be 6 directions which extend up to infinity for every Atma. 12th verse. Maso vai prajapatis tasya krishna paksha evaraihi shuklaha pranas tasmadeta rushayah shukla ishtam kurvanti itarasmin. So what we spoke about, it's extended here. The month indeed is Prajapati. The Krishna Paksh, which is a waning moon, the fortnight of waning moon, is Rai. And the fourth night of waxing moon, which is Shukla Paksha, is Prana. Some good men perform Ishtakarma. Ishtakarma is Havan, Yagna, the offering in the brightening fortnight, and others in the darkening fortnight. So there are two different Pakshas. Shukla Paksha, in that Shukla Paksha, one can, whatever sadhana is done during those times, one can increase prana shakti during those times. If sadhana is done in Krishna Paksha, it will increase the sakama karma or the worldly prosperity, you can say, or one can fulfill the worldly desires, whatever one can have. So sadhana has two different results. Shukla Paksha sadhana for spiritual enhancement, and Krishna Paksha sadhana for material gain or worldly gains. And here again it is affirmed that Maso Vai Prajapati. So 12 months are Prajapati. Aho ratro vai prajapate stasya harev prano ratrireva rahi pranam va ete praskandati ye divaratya sanyujyante brahmacharyameva tadyad ratro pratya sanyujyante. So this 13th verse translation is day and night. Ahoratra is day and night, Aharnish. Indeed is Prajapati. The day is Prana and night is Rai. Those who indulge in enjoyment by day dissipate their vital energies or prana, but indulging in enjoyment at night is still considered brahmacharya. So this is for gruhastha. We are not sannyasi, we are gruhastha people, right? So whatever enjoyment, not only physical in nature, but any type of enjoyment or worldly actions we do, if it is done during daytime, that reduces prana shakti, is what Rishi is trying to say. And if that is done during night time, it does not dissipate prana shakti, and that is called brahmacharya. So brahmacharya for sannyasi is abstaining from any worldly enjoyment or any worldly desires. Abstain from that. That is brahmacharya for sannyasi. But for gruhastha, if gruhastha enjoys anything during night time, is fine. That is still brahmacharya. So but if we read on internet or YouTube or many discourses, brahmacharya for sannyasi is what is preached as brahmacharya for gruhastha also. But Rishi is saying no, people are the Rishi. So we gruhastha should not feel bad about it, because if it is done during night time, that's fine, it is still brahmacharya. And in Devi Bhagavat, there is multiple chapters on Navratri Vrat. So during Navratri Vrat, whatever is mentioned, especially Mansi Puja and Brahmacharya Vrat, and that also defines, there is a definition of Brahmacharya there, that if you indulge in any physical activity during daytime, it is not Brahmacharya, but if it is done at night time, it is still Brahmacharya. During daytime, just follow your sadhana, do tapa, whatever anushthan one wants to do, can do that, and that is Brahmacharya. So Upanishad, as well as at least one Purana, I haven't looked at other Puranas in that respect, but at least Devi Bhagavat, I see that definition. 14th verse, Annam vai prajapatis tato ha vai tadre tastas ma dimaha prajaha prajayanta iti. Food indeed is Prajapati. From that is produced the seed, and from that are all beings born. For us, any actions we do with our physical body is attributed to food. whatever we consume, that food becomes part of our body, and that gives us energy to perform our duties and other worldly actions. So for us, food is Prajapati, because of that, whatever actions we do, and our Santati, Prajotpati, that is also attributed to food. So it is definitely Prajapati for us. 15th verse. Tadyeha vai tat Prajapati vratam charanti te mithunam utpadayante tesha me vaisha brahmaloko yesham tapo brahmacharyam yeshu satyam pratishthitam. Therefore, those who follow vrata, any ritual or any rule, following that is vrata. So people doing vrata of Prajapati give birth to a pair, which is boy and girl, whereas only for those is the abode of Brahma, in whom austerity, brahmacharya and satya are established. Now we can interpret this in multiple ways. So brahmacharya is anything we do, any actions we do to know Brahma, to have Brahma Sakshatkar, that is brahmacharya. But there are certain rules. There is rule for sannyasi, there is rule for grihastha. If we follow that, within the confinement of those rules, if we try to achieve or have Sakshatkar of Brahma, that is brahmacharya, and that includes tapa, brahmacharya again, some actions or some rules, and satya. So satya, now satya is truth in loose terms, but what is satya? For us, satya is existence, whatever exists at physical level, at subtle level, at spiritual level, whatever exists for us, that is satya. So satya is existence. So satya is pratishthitam, who follows these things, tapa, brahmacharya and Prajapati vrat. So all the ritualistic or rules that can take us to Prajapati, that is ultimately Brahma. The word used here is Brahmaloka. So if somebody follows all these, all the actions, for that person Brahmaloka is here within the confinement of body, and we don't have to look for a Brahmalok somewhere up or down, it's within us. And once we are on the path of Brahma Sakshatkar, that is Brahmaloka for us. Now we can argue that there are multiple lokas mentioned: Vaikuntha, Golok, Brahmalok, Shivalok. Now what are those? If we look at one common thread, if all the gods are different forms of the same Brahma in different manifestations, that means all the lokas that are mentioned, Vaikuntha, Golok, or whatever name we want to give, they all are the same. That is just our perception. When we look at Brahma as Adi Shakti, that is Tripura or Manipura. If we look at Brahma as Vishnu, that is Vaikuntha. If we look at that Parbrahma or Brahma as Prajapati, that is Brahmaloka. If it is Shiva, then it is Shivaloka, Adi Kailash, or whatever name we want to give it. But ultimately, it is the place where we get that experience, we get that Sakshatkar of Brahma, which is within our body. And we can also argue that beyond limitation of 4 dimensions, whatever is beyond that, 5th dimension, 6th dimension, or whatever dimension, so that always goes inward. So going inward will get us to a different dimension. If that place is, how far it is, infinite distance, we don't know in physical level, but for us it is in the reach of confinement of our Atma. the Guhya Loka. So that Guhya, that inner space, is Brahma Loka for us if we are on the path of Brahma. And one important thing mentioned here is, so who follows Prajapati Vrata, they give birth to a pair, boy and girl. In terms of physical world, we can say. So it does not mean that if we have two boys or two girls, we are not on path of Prajapati. But this is coming from Rishi Pipalada, that if we follow Prajapati Vrat, we'll have two children, one boy, one girl. So again, we are not able to understand that in modern terms, but we have to bow down to Rishi and consider that as truth as well. There is no proof, but well, this is what Rishi saw. So following Prajapati Vrat, which is again path of Brahma. So following Brahmacharya, we can have that type of family, that type of social structure, and that can lead us to our path of Mukti or Nirvana.
There was one other, after that they'll give birth to a pair, there was some, but only for, there was some continuation of.
So those who follow Prajapati Vrat or way of Prajapati give birth to a pair, right?
Yes.
So this is at physical level.
After that there was something else.
Right. So after that, what Rishi is saying, only for those is the abode of Brahma, which is Brahmaloka, who follow austerity, chastity and truth. So it does not mean Prajapati Vrat is not part of Brahmacharya. It is Brahmacharya. But consider that when we start our journey, it always begins at physical level. When we start, if we take this metaphor, when a child starts learning language, first the child should be taught alphabets. So once the child masters alphabet, whatever he or she can speak is few words or can write few words. But the child is still on the path of mastering a particular language. Once there is a transition occurs and now the child gains lot of or exposed to lot of words, grammar, rules and multiple exercises at different level. Now that child masters the language and can write essays, books. So Prajapati Vrat or Brahmacharya begins from very physical level. So that is first aspect, and the result of that is one can have boy and girl, that is offspring, at physical level. Next is one can enhance that, and when one is pratisthita in tapa brahmacharya satya, so when our brahmacharya becomes intense, then we gain the sakshatkar, then we are in Brahmaloka. We can also say not just boy or girl as physical level, but Rai and Prana, they are born together. If we look at previous verses, Prajapati created Rai and Prana. So who follows Prajapati Vrat can gain the benefit or gain the knowledge or gain the control over Rai and Prana. We can also say that. So if we look at Ashtadhyayi, Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asana and Pranayam. So following these four aspects, what we get is control over Rai, which is all the energies, matter, energy, or physical body, and prana. So we control all this by following first four of Ashtanga Yoga: Yam, Niyam, Asana and Pranayam. But next four, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi, so they are at different level, and they are particularly geared towards bringing us close to Brahma or Atma Sakshatkar. So that is a next transition. Even though we can say that this is Ashtanga Yoga, but there is two different components, one for physical and whatever we can feel or experience. That is first with our physical body or mental body or at subtle level. Next transition is what goes beyond the four dimensions, or what goes beyond the experience of mind. That is Brahma Loka in this sense. So
you mentioned the lokas, the Brahma Loka, Shiva Loka, all that
right.
is what we perceive in,
right.
and therefore it can be internal to our body.
That is my interpretation, right? What I see is at physical level, the universe is infinite. We cannot fathom that. Then how could Rishi travel across and be in a different loka? So there must be beyond our four dimensions, and what is within is what is outside. That means ultimately using our body as vehicle, a chariot, rath, and what resides within, that is our Atma, we can have experience of different lokas.
You don't think it can be anything like teleporting or anything?
It can be teleporting. Say teleporting is what? Let's say a piece of paper, right? A piece of paper, and there is an ant walking on that. So for ant, the world is width and length. That's it. The ant cannot perceive the third dimension. Now let's say there are two papers connected via a string. Now ant has to travel from one paper to the other paper. The ant does not have any perception of the third dimension. For the ant, both the papers are the same, but still the ant on first paper cannot travel across, use the string and reach the second paper, because ant cannot perceive. For that ant, it's just the same paper. But we who can understand or look at the third dimension, we know the string, so we can take the ant from first paper and put on the second. So now the ant traveled across third dimension and reached to the second paper. Similarly, the lokas, I mentioned autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. In I think chapter 43rd or 44th, he encounters his guru who passed away few months back. So the guru appears out of thin air in a physical form and explains that this physical world is like a gondola, a basket, below a big giant balloon. That giant balloon is a different world, Sukshma Loka, or the Loka beyond our four dimensions. Our world, even though it looks infinite, it's just a gondola, just a basket, small basket. But the other world is even bigger, which we can name anything, Swargaloka or Devaloka, whatever you want to name it. It does not mean that it is somewhere at different place. We are still part of that whole entity, but we cannot experience that, we cannot perceive that. That means for us it's somewhere else. But once we develop this ability, this prajna or this siddhi, then we know it is here, it is not anywhere else. So it's like traveling across the distance. So it may seem like teleportation, but in a sense it is not.
So going back to that, you mentioned in your interpretation it's the perception of Devaloka,
Right.
Brahmaloka. But then what would you think is the physical significance of like Mount Kailasa or Mansarovar or for Shiva,
Right.
for Shivaloka?
Right. So I haven't experienced Mount Kailasa yet, but many people, especially Sadhguru's experience, I have watched that video with his Shishyagan. He was sitting near Mansarovar, and they were having some. They all were sitting and doing dhyana, and all of a sudden, some lady started behaving differently, and Sadhguru, I think he poured some water on her head, and Sadhguru mentioned that she had contacted the different beings. They were jumping right in Mansarovar. We could not see it, and in Sadhguru's words, those beings came towards Sadhguru and checked his fingers. That's what Sadhguru said. So he was mentioning that why we use our Anamika finger for auspicious things, right? For Tirak and all that. Because those beings, they knew the significance of that third finger, Anamika finger, and they were checking Sadhguru's finger. That means Kailasha at physical level is just a mountain, but in different dimensions what it is, if somebody can perceive that, for him or her, Kailasha is the center of the world, the Meru that holds the whole universe. And it can be true also, because this whole world, the center is everywhere. It's like a big giant circle which has centers everywhere but no perimeter. But for that to perceive, somebody has to have that prajna.
Sadhguru is the Isha Foundation?
Yeah, Isha Foundation, yes. And I have one experience with him back in 2017, when in Coimbatore they were consecrating Adi Yogi 112-foot Murti. At that time I went there on Mahashivratri, and the whole program began at 6 o'clock, and Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi were to come, and we were doing all that. There were many musical performances, but Sadhguru started special dhyana at 11:38 at night, and we were instructed, close your eyes, head tilt little bit upward, and then start listening Sadhguru's voice. Whenever he used to say Shambho, we used to repeat that. We were asked to repeat that with closed eyes. Everybody closed eyes, and he started saying Shambho, and we started repeating. After some time, I felt that his voice drastically changed, and as if it is coming from a deep cave. He was sitting inside a big cave in the end, and then speaking Shambho. I started feeling like that, and that kept going on for some 20-25 minutes, and all of a sudden I stopped hearing Shambho. So I opened my eyes, but when I looked around, one of the friends, he was with me, he also opened his eyes at that time, and some other friend, he was sleeping, so he did not have that experience. But people around us, many of them were still, they did not open eyes, they were still closed eyes, and somebody were doing or had some vibrations. Everything went according to their performances and everything afterwards. When I came back to USA, I told Parul that I experienced this. Even my second friend, he also felt similar. So I wanted to show her that particular dhyan, that that clip of that video. When I started looking at that video, I saw that Sadhguru stopped uttering Shambho in 5 minutes. But I kept hearing that for almost 20-25 minutes. So what was that? That means he has some prajna that he connected with all those 300,000 people at that time. And without physically uttering Shambho, he created that Shambho sound in us somehow. So he touched that dimension beyond our 4 physical dimensions. I can surely say that. And
did he do it with his mind? He connected to the mind of every person and
probably.
yeah.
Or it is Atmic connection through Atma, whatever he did. But that was our experience. Not only me, but one of our friends. And there were a lot of other people. They were just crazily vibrating, still closed eyes. So they were still hearing that sound. So it's again, if somebody has that prajna, can connect with the world and can know more.
So I had a question. So when Sadhguru was here, I got the initiation with Shambhavi.
Oh, Shambhavi Mahamudra?
Here
Okay,
in
okay.
Dallas,
Right.
Hutchison Convention Center.
Okay, okay.
But I mean, I was seeing, and then he guided us through the
Right.
meditation,
Right.
and during the initiation.
Right.
And after that, he asked to open the eyes, and then
Right.
I see people are crying. I see people.
Right. Right.
But for me, I didn't feel. So what's the? I didn't understand why somebody can have such a profound thing and I have
Right.
almost nothing.
It again goes with how deep you want to have that experience, right? There are two things. First, somebody if just beginning the sadhana, then may not have all that experience. Or somebody who has that profound experience already, do not have to go through that again.
No, but they were getting initiated just like me.
Right, right,
So they were not. This is the first time they were doing it as well.
right. Well, everybody is different, right? But I can say for sure, if you keep following any sadhana, ultimately whatever you will experience is out of this world,
Sorry.
is out of this world, meaning beyond these physical dimensions. You will feel that. And Parul, she did not believe in all these things. She does not believe in all these things. But when we both had Shaktipat Diksha together, she literally felt the upsurgement of Kundalini through her Sushumna for a very big time. And she had that experience. So without presence of Guru in front of us, without any prior sadhana, without or even with prejudice that she did not believe in all these things, she still had that experience during the Shaktipat Diksha.
What is? Sorry, I don't know. What is Shaktipat Diksha?
It's again if you follow or if you want to follow Siddha Yoga, it is very similar to Shambhavi Mahamudra. Shambhavi is just one step below because Sadhguru is doing this at mass, right? So it is not one-on-one interaction. But if you want to do intense sadhana, then you go through that Shaktipat Diksha. Even Sadhguru mentioned long time back that he also does that if he feels somebody is worthy doing. So if you do that, that means your Kundalini that is sitting in the Muladhara, sitting idle, or it does its own work, right? But not at the subtle level. So you want to start or you want to activate that. So that activation is Shaktipat Diksha. And it can be achieved multiple ways. Swami Muktananda of is Ganesh Puri is very famous place, and he is from there. His ashram was there, Swami Muktananda. He also wrote his very profound sadhana, how he went through various stages and what was his experiences in a very fine book, Chitta Shakti Vilas. He used to do Shaktipata initiation with just his thumb. He would just do this and would initiate or start Kundalini like that. So he had that ability. The Guru, we took Shaktipat Diksha, she sent us flowers, and we had to put flowers on top of our head and start doing dhyana, chanting some particular mantras. So for us, that was Shaktipat Diksha. So there are many different forms. Ramana Maharshi, you just sit next to him, he would just look at in infinity, would look at it you, won't say anything, and that was his Shaktipat Diksha. So there are many different methods. And he used to say that, and it is very well documented by Paul Brunton or Richard Brunton. His last name is Brunton. He took Diksha from Ramana Maharshi, and Ramana Maharshi told him that, okay, he used to speak very less. Rarely he would speak. But he said, if you follow this particular chanting process, you will get that experience. So the process is, close your eyes and start uttering aham, 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 aham. That aham must come from some part of your brain. So try to follow that. And then it will start that process. So there are different methods. And I would say that don't follow any method just randomly. If you find that some guru is worthy, take Diksha from that guru and follow the path mentioned or stated by him or her. That is the best thing. And Shambhavi Mahamudra, again, everything has two parts, right? Like Ashtanga Yoga, first 4 is at physical level. It works at physical level. It cleanses everything. Then you are ready for the next, and that is very intense. So Sadguru initiation, Isha Kriya or Shambhavi Mudra is very much at gross and mental level. So it can work on that. But if you want to dive deeper, then you can do Shaktipata Diksha. See, many of the Upanishad, Yoga Kundali Upanishad, many other Upanishads, they mention certain processes that we can follow for dhyana. Swami Vivekananda, he has written different methods in his discourse on Ashtanga Yoga. Vijnana Bhairava Tantra talks about 112 different methods. Osho Rajneesh, he elaborated all these 112 methods quite well. Sadguru also follows some of them. If you read Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, there are many things you can just follow without any guru. Ultimately, when you are ready, Guru will find you, or ultimately we will put you in a path which leads to that Guru. And that will happen, that can happen. And there is one more proof. We all are here and talking about Upanishads. That means we are already on that path, next level. Because Upanishad, nobody wants to talk about it. People just stop at Bhagavad Gita. For them, Bhagavad Gita is everything. They don't want to go beyond that. That is fine. Bhagavad Gita summarizes everything. But the source of Bhagavad Gita is Upanishads. So if you want to go little deeper, that's what we are doing. So we are already on that path. And when time comes, when it is ripe, Guru will find you and ultimately will lead you to him or her. So that will happen.
So the Sandhya Vandane, is that anyway also, I mean, with all this, we were talking about meditation and procedures.
Right.
Is that
Of course, of course, of course. So Vedas talk about Trikar Sandhya. Always do. They use uh, Usha, Sandhya, and Madhyandin, Savan. They talk about three Savan. And they used to do or perform yajna in all these three times. So that is first step, right? You do Sandhya Vandana. But then we must have at least 5 minutes of dhyana. If we cannot do dhyan with closed eyes, just keep open, look at the form you have installed, consecrated, just use that. Keep looking without any. The important thing is no more thoughts. Thought can come and go, but your focus, your concentration must be on either deity or closed eyes and within. So at least doing that 5 minutes along with Sandhya Vandana will put us to a different level.
But isn't the Gayatri the portion of that? That's not the dhyana part.
No,
That
it
cannot
is
be-
just the vehicle. Gayatri is just the vehicle. And see, Kali Yuge Nama Japa. But we must not stop at Japa. That Japa is vehicle that needs to take us out of our mind and below in the Hriday. It must take us there. So use that as a vehicle. But why Nama Japa in Kali? Because we cannot stop our thoughts. We have so many things going on around us. So we cannot just sit idle. Our mind is very, very active compared to the people of past times. So Nama Japa takes us to the next step out of all those thoughts and take us or starts going deeper and deeper. At one point that japa will stop automatically. You will feel that, hey, you stopped doing that. Why? That means you are beyond thought. And at that time, whatever you experience is every day, you will see that there is a progress. You will find something new every day. And but experience again, we must not stop there. At one point you will think that, oh, I am not getting any experience, because you are too much attached to experience, because experiences are such profound that you feel good that, hey, I got something new today. But there will be a point where you will have no experience at all and you think, what is happening to me? But that is progress also, because any experience is again bounding you to the lower world, to the physical world, to the mental world. So we do not want to be attached to anything. We want to go beyond. So that will come for sure.
I have one question. What do
Right.
you mean by see inwards? Like I follow Kripalaji Maharaj.
Right.
He says Roop Dhyan.
Right.
So that's what I follow. But he doesn't say anything about inward. So
So these are all vehicles.
yeah.
He did not say or he did not mean that's going inward, but ultimately if you do that dhyan, it will take you within.
Then
Be-
what will happen?
So that's
How will
your
I identify it? Is my
you'll know that.
okay.
Because what happens there, you might not have felt that physically anytime in your life. You will have that feeling. One thing, very peaceful, being very peaceful, that is one thing. You feel some different sensation which you never felt before in your body. Sometimes you feel vibrations. Sometimes you feel that what I got today is just pure light or just pure sound or just pure vibration. You will feel that there is no thought in my mind. You will feel that you met somebody in your dhyana, just like daydreaming. You will feel that you saw something. It's like daydreaming. So these are all the proofs that you are going beyond your mind. So your dhyana is becoming intense. So yes, that will happen, because ultimately any rupa, any nad is coming from your Atma. That is the source, but it is expressed via our mind and the other sensory organs. So we want to go inward, backward, from sensor organs to mind, and from mind beyond the Atman. And any method you choose will lead you to that. And many a times you can come across something which may frighten you. You can also have that kind of experience, that something you see, you feel terribly frightened. So that is also possible, because Sura and Asura, ultimately they are cousins, right? So Sura can come to you, Asura can also come to you. But as long as we have blessing from our Guru and we follow that path or that method rigorously, we'll go beyond all that. Everything is born of mind. So if we go beyond that, we'll get the experience. Or we will be experienceless, because having experience is also a karma that binds us. So we want to go beyond that for Atma Sakshatkar or for Brahma Sakshatkar. So stop not. I think we can stop here. Just last verse. Teshamasau virajo brahmaloko na yeshu jihma manrutam na maya cheti. For those alone is the pure world of Brahma, in whom there is no deceit, falsehood or attachment. So when Brahmaloka is achieved, that means you are already like that. You are like Nachiketa, very straightforward, very innocent, without any deceits. So you are already that. So being in Brahmaloka or having the experience of Brahma makes you like that, and you have to be like that to achieve that. So it's two sides of the coin. Yeah, we can end here. It completes the Prathama Adhyaya, Prathama Prashna. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.